Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today, look at that, we've got a full house. I am joined by Jared Hill, Kevin McCluskey and Sean Connolly just to talk about Celtic 2, St Mirren 2. I'm going to start with you, Jared. We knew that there had been changes. We know it's difficult to throw in a few defenders that haven't played much this season, but we've made hard work of that in the first half. Do you see us making the changes and running away with this in the second half, Jared?
I'd hope so. It's I was saying pre-game that I thought it was one of them ones where the guys we brought in would be starting quality at every other club in the league, and they look like, in particular centre back pair, and they haven't played together, but they kind of look like they don't know each other, like they've never played football together, which I don't know if they have or not. But to me, what that's showing me is that we've been lucky Scales stepped up this season, and I've been hard on him at times, but yeah, it just shows the difference.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And you make it just as Andy makes a similar point here. We are lucky Scales stepped up this season. Dread to think what would have happened playing Welsh at the back. Keep the crosses on the deck. Kyogo will score high balls into the box, waste of time. Listen, this isn't going to be a greeting meeting for 15 minutes. There's Sean peering over, like he's peering over a wall. In fact, a bit like Clermont behind the fence there. Better hair though, Sean, better hair. We're not going to be sitting here moaning about and having a right dig out. We've had a tremendous week, and actually it's half time and it's still 2-each. But I do think it does show you, just like what Jared was saying there, if anything, Kevin, just how well Scales has done, right? Now, I'm not going to throw Welsh under the bus. He's not played much football. He's had a really poor first half. Should have opened the scoring in the first 4 minutes. He's mistimed the ball over his head, which has then made him scramble back. And, you know, he's pulled the guy down. No complaints from anybody. It's a penalty. But it does show that, you know, Brendan Rodgers was right to have this wee silo, a group of players that he could really, really trust. And it does show the type of quality we need and the quality we need in the pre-season as well, Kev.
Yeah, absolutely. For everyone or anyone that says that Scales isn't the answer, he's definitely more of the answer than Stephen Welsh. And if you're not prepared to throw him under the bus, I think I might, because it's basic 101 defending. When that long ball comes over the top, you just deal with it. You put something on it and get it out of play if you have to, and you stop that attack. So he's made a big error there. He's got no chance of winning the ball when it comes to when Olisanya is in the box. So I don't know why he feels the need to put a hand on him, because as soon as he does, the player goes down. It's a penalty. And it's not the first time that Welsh has made these kind of mistakes in games. So I think today was one of those games for him, almost like a last chance saloon kind of match. Rodgers seems to have faith in him because he's given him a lengthy contract, same as he has a few players. But from a fan's perspective, anytime you watch him play, he is becoming one of those players where you just feel there's a mistake in his game, in every game. Sometimes he gets away with it. Today he didn't. And yeah, it shows that drop off in class when Scales isn't in the team, and Scales is a player that's come in for criticism at different points throughout this season. So I think definitely over the summer we will need to look at reinforcing that centre back position, get someone in alongside Carter Vickers, because I think Nawrocki's been decent in his appearances so far this season, but he's probably not shown enough to suggest that he will be the main man to play alongside Big Carter Vickers next term.
Yeah. Just for anybody else who is keeping an eye on the other scores, Dundee are drawn 1-1 with Kilmarnock, and Hearts are leading Rangers by a 0-0. So virtue of our 2-2...
Dundee?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Virtue of our 2-2 draw in that first half, Sean, we've actually increased our lead at the top of the league. It's not finished yet. I mean, I'm going to bring this up from Philip. I think this is quite an interesting one, because I said before the game to Jared and Kevin, I'm interested to see these guys that haven't had much game time. Rocky and Palmer are two signings, says Philip, who can definitely play next season. Rocky's quick forward passing is excellent. Palmer is working hard, way better than Kuhn on the other side, who is an empty jersey. And what we were talking about in the pre-match, Sean, was the guys we might be able to salvage from the summer transfers. And of course, Kuhn came in January. I've got to say, I think Nawrocki's looked pretty good. I don't see any real concerns there. I do like his passing range. He can do the short passing at the back. He can find the wing with a pass as well. I like that about him. I used to like that about Maurice Jens as well. And Palmer, not everything's came off for him, but I tell you, he's whipped in some brilliant crosses. And what I've liked about his performance in the first half, when he's lost the ball, Sean, he's tried to win it back. That was a big criticism I had about him before, whereby he was quite happy just to let the midfield and the defence deal with anything that he's lost. What's your take on it? I know it's only 45 minutes, but what's your take on the performances of the likes of Nawrocki and Palmer?
Yeah, with Palmer, there seemed to have been something going on above the shoulders, because he showed us in the first couple of months of the season that he can do it, and so I don't really know kind of why it dropped off, and it probably was something mental, just lack of confidence or whatever it was. Nawrocki's not really been tested today. Everything's kind of been going down the Ralston and Welsh side, and those two have not shown up very well. If I'm going to comment on Nawrocki, I would say the first St Mirren goal, both centre-backs are standing, admiring it, watching Callum McGregor scrap for it. When they should be, one of them should be attacking it, and Callum McGregor should be the one picking up the player that does score the goal in the end. So the whole line is one man off in that situation, and that happens later as well. And to not pick on Welsh, there's another one that goes down in behind Ralston, and McGregor's over covering for him. So it feels like the midfielder doing a lot of heavy lifting today. You see that with the O'Reilly goal, even the one in behind where Hatate tries to do an O'Reilly and it doesn't quite come off for him. So yeah, I think if we hadn't changed the midfield three, it would be getting kind of shown up today. If we had changed the midfield three, excuse me, and that's a concern, and it's something that Rodgers commented on specifically during the week, that in the past when he's made 8 or 9 changes, he's been bringing in Premier League players like Armstrong and Christie, and Welsh and Nawrocki and the likes are not showing that they look like Premier League players today.
You know, the goal that you're talking about, I was probably going to criticise Hatate, but I think you're right. I think it goes beyond that, Sean. The defender should be dealing with what McGregor's trying to deal with, and then it gets staggered, and McGregor's picking up that ball that goes loose, and Hatate kind of draws himself out. That's the second time in 3 weeks he's done that. So he needs to. I don't know if it's because he's reluctant to make a tackle in the box, knowing that there's a good chance they'll get a penalty, but he seems to pull himself out of these challenges too easy for me. Some brilliant comments coming in. Keep them coming. Listen, it's trophy day. It's only 2 each. We've got all the big guns on the bench. I'm not worried about this. Barry O'Sullivan says, listen, maybe we do need the 8 quality players. But to be fair, Barry, I was agreeing with you. And I also think that there are going to be players we need to replace. So that's how my figure was away up at 8. But I don't think we'll get the 8 in one transfer window. I think it will be spread over to maybe bring 4 or 5 in the summer. Great game, says Jamie. But I think this is a case of all the players who normally don't play just reminding us why they don't play, apart from Nawrocki. I'm not sure what Brendan doesn't like about him. No, I've not seen much that I don't like about him myself. Tony, great to see you supporting the channel and tuning in as usual. Huge thanks to Acsom for your superb coverage and banter. See you all in August. Listen, it's always an absolute pleasure. Tony came to one of your gigs last year as well. It was good to meet him. What I would say in defence of Palma is I do think there's something there. I keep saying it, that there's a technical ability. It can put in a ball. Sean's talking about it maybe being more of a mentality. Jared, is that something you can turn round, or do you look at him and say, listen, you know, you've got the ability, but I can't get a tune out of you because of your mentality? What do you think the future holds for a guy like Palmer?
Well, with the deliveries putting in from the corners today, I'd like to see him have a shot from the corner and actually try to score, because he's been pinpoint with everything else so far. But in terms of his drop-off, like, the only thing I can think of is maybe he doesn't like a cold Glaswegian winter, because he was good before winter and he's come good towards the end. Maybe it's just that he's from Honduras. He's been playing in Greece. Maybe he just doesn't like the cold. That's the only thing I could think
like
of.
that. I like that theory, because even I wear a jacket and weather like that today. So imagine coming from Honduras, Kevin, and thinking, no, you know what, I'm just going to wrap up and hibernate for 2 or 3 months of this Scottish season. Absolutely get that. And the other thing, we've got to talk about Kyogo, we've got to talk about O'Reilly, Kev, because, 19 goals neck and neck for the two of them. Brilliant finishes. Matt O'Reilly having the kind of season of his life. I mean, when you're looking at his data at the end of the season for a midfield player, it's quite astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but he's an astonishing player. But to point back to Jared's point there, it sounds daft that maybe somebody like Palmer wouldn't play well because it's the cold winter, but you just never know. It might be as simple as that. He's a warm weather player. He's used to that climate, and this might just completely throw him playing in the cold winters of Scotland. And it's one of those things that we'll never see as the fans because we're always on the outside. It's the same as when we were talking before about some of the players underperforming or not being included in squads, but it's maybe there's personal reasons, there's private reasons. Like Tillio was the one, he's gone back to Australia because there's family things going on. There's all these things that go on. We do treat players like commodities, but they're human beings, and we suffer in the cold. So why don't they? And it might affect performance. But for Matt O'Reilly and Kyogo to go back to that one, yeah, I mean, they're two very, very special players. I'm not going to say we're lucky to have them because a club like Celtic should have players of that quality playing for us. But we should really enjoy having them because they are phenomenal players. And O'Reilly's numbers this season will be off the charts compared to anything he's put in the previous couple of years. He's a guy that's, if Palmer struggled with the mental side of the game, O'Reilly's thrived in it because every time he's had a challenge, be it a positional change to drop back to defensive midfield when McGregor was out last season, be it to become the creative force this season when Hatati's been out, he's risen to it every single time. The big games, he's been there. The Panenka at Ibrox is the pinnacle of his Celtic career as a single moment. He's a phenomenal player, and he's been great again today, I think, so far in that first half. And Kyogo, that goal was just its trademark Kyogo. The near post run, the low cross coming in, and it's a one-touch finish. It's everything that we've come to see and enjoy over the last 3 seasons with him. And at least for one of them, we'll get to see that again next season. Hopefully, we'll get to see it from both of them.
No, that would be great. And he scores 20 goals in his first season, I think, Sean, under Ange. Obviously, had injury worries in that first season. Second season, kind of vintage from Kyogo, 30 plus. And in this campaign, lost his place a couple of times to O and Ida, in and out the side. But he's going to finish off, hopefully, with more or less what he got in the first campaign, salvaging like a personal season as well as the fact that we are going for a double as well. And he's coming for a bit of stick. I think that, Brendan has been at pains to say, listen, we're not doing anything different, or we're trying not to. We're trying to get the wingers to play to Kyogo's strengths. Kyogo won that ball from St Mirren. And the run that he made after releasing it to Hatate was just absolutely, the decisiveness, the directness. The ball had to be good, and it was perfect. It was a brilliant goal.
Yeah, it was. When you catch the St Mirren line that high, it's because you've won it in that position. Other than that, they're very much deeper, and you're having to play those triangles. So we had another one where it was put onto Palma, and he did a Fabio Silva header at the back post. So it was, it's there for us if we can win it in that area. And yeah, I was very impressed with that goal, the second one. And look, our top two scorers have scored the 2 goals today. If either of them can score again, that will be them on 20 goals for the season. And I think they just gave out the top scorer award to Kyogo last week, so might get recalled. I think they did that a few years ago as well, where they gave it to someone who was on like 13 goals at the time, Scott Sinclair, and he didn't even finish top. So it's an interesting personal battle, and hopefully we can get the win for the last game at Parkhead of Joe Hart and potentially Matt O'Reilly.
Yeah, potentially. We'll put that in there where we asked this. Jungle Lion, Palmer has to score that. He does. And you know what? I think that if he does, then it's a different Palmer. He's one of these guys. He's playing. It's all about confidence with him. Jim McLaughlin, Mark O'Hara is a Celtic mad 10 and perhaps is trying to catch Brendan's eye. Jim, I think Mark O'Hara is a very good player. And I think he's the type of player in Scottish football who's at an age like Luke McCowan's been getting a lot of plaudits this season at Dundee, that as much as I think they're great, Jim, I don't think that's the type of player Celtic should be looking at. No disrespect to Mark O'Hara or Luke McCowan. Both had excellent seasons with St Mirren and Dundee. But I tell you, the type of team that should be looking at these types of guys, for me, that's the type of signing a Hearts, Hibs or Aberdeen should be making. and they would be a much stronger proposition if they were to be able to like handpick the 2 or 3 quality talents in Scottish football from clubs who are actually doing better than some of the ones I've mentioned there, but maybe don't have the same finances. So yeah, Mark O'Hara, he's been a bit of a thorn in our side this season, but I do think it's a team like Hearts or Hibs, maybe Aberdeen, that should be looking at him, watch him score a hat-trick in the second half, and they'll ram those words down my throat. Right, you and Boy Martin, this summer, sell Nawrocki, Lager and Palmer, all 3 not good enough, so get the cash in and buy better. Yang and O, put them out on loan, spend 40 million on 6 quality players before we go back to the second half. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Nawrocki and Palmer play in that second half. I agree with you on Lager, and to be honest, if Yang and O were to go out permanently, Ewan, I would be quite happy with that as well. I do reckon we'll make the changes and we'll get the win. How confident are you, Jared?
We'll get the win. I think it's just going to be a matter of getting on the ball and playing, actually getting something out of the right side going in attack, because the left side's been flying so far. So if we can be coming at them from both sides of the field in the second half, it's going to, get their defense a little bit shakier and make it a bit harder for them to get deep and try to hit us on the counter, and then it'll open up the opportunities for Kyogo to get his 20th goal of the season, and off we go.
Yeah, Kuhn for Forest, Welsh for Carter Vickers would be the changes that I make. Enjoy the second half. We'll be back at full time to take in all the trophy celebrations. Thanks everybody for getting involved, and thank you to Jared, Kevin and Sean for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.